The other day, while testing the inverter cooking system to make calzones over while I was in Orlando, I had the power system cranked up with the vehicle running, and to generate 120 volts, and I had the sandwich maker hooked up to it, and as soon as I turned it on, the system shut down. And I thought that maybe my battery wasn't powerful enough, or the inverter wasn't powerful enough. But I've been thinking about the situation, and I had noticed later that my house system wasn't charging up. So I decided to try to figure out what was going on, and found out that the fuse here, the one that I have inside this unit here, had blown. Look at this. It's like melted. This is a 30 amp fuse that I put in here as a safety between the vehicle battery and the house battery. See, that cable comes down here, goes through the switch. When I flip it up, it connects those two batteries. So what happened was, this is my guess, okay, when I had the sandwich maker hooked up to this, it was drawing power from the vehicle battery, and it was too fast. It was pulling way more than 30 amps. So that caused this fuse to blow, which then meant the system wasn't charging, and then the house battery went low really quickly. So what I think the problem isn't the inverter or the battery, it was my wiring. Now, somebody had questioned my wiring before, asking why I took the wire from the the vehicle battery, right up to the inverter instead of to the house battery. And I said, well, the electricity kind of flows everywhere at the same time. Maybe that isn't true. Maybe I do need to wire the vehicle battery, that wire that comes from there, up through here. And instead of coming up to my inverter, I should put it directly to my house battery, and then run the wire from the house battery up to the inverter. We're going to try that to see if the system will then work. And the reason I want to do this is because when we started the build of Little Blue 2 and we're doing the test on it 2 years ago, the system worked. But in that case, I had the this particular inverter under the hood hooked up directly to the vehicle battery, and there was no fuse there to blow. So we're going to try it again with the system using the inverter hooked up to the house battery down here, and see if it'll draw from there instead of from the vehicle battery and blow the fuse. I think it may still blow, but only one way to really find out, right? So let's go ahead and try that. I've taken the system apart. Well, not really, just removed the lid. And you can see the battery here, the cable. This one that comes up, no, that's the ground. This one right here that was really long. It comes up and it goes up to this red, the positive. So what I need to do at this point is I need to disconnect that cable and run it right over here to the red on here. So let's try that and see what happens. Alright, I've removed the cable for the red wire that came from the vehicle battery that was here. I have put it over here, mounted it right here, and we're going to put this little bolt on it. And I'm just going to need to tighten that and make sure it gets tightened. So the connection now goes to the connection from the switch here, which is connected to the vehicle battery, now connects to the house battery. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the red from here to the inverter and connect it to this other end. That will allow the electricity to be drawn for the inverter from our battery right here, the house battery, directly instead of from the vehicle battery. And then hopefully while the system's on, the electricity will flow in here to charge up the house battery, but it won't flow at more than 30 amps. Now if the system still blows, then what it means is to hook up like more than 300 watts, inverter, I'm going to have to hook it up directly to the battery with no fuse in between the system. That's the only difference that we have between the current setup and the setup that we have from a year ago. Not a year, but 2 years ago, where I did test the system out, and it did work when I had it directly under the hood. In that case, there was no fuse to blow. So the inverter and the battery worked and did cook food. So we're going to try it again this time, though, but with the current wiring and the fuse in place. Alright, I have tightened down the screw by using pliers, so it's fairly tight now. And we're going to connect up the red. I'm going to shut that off because of that noise. Alright, I went ahead and had to shut it off because of that siren going off. Might trigger the demonetization again. It's like demonetizing at crazy stuff. Like even the salami that I cooked up the other day got demonetized because I guess YouTube doesn't like the word salami. Anyhow, I am going to hook up the red here, the positive now, to this positive. And that should complete our circuit as far as our inverter is concerned. Spark there. Alright. So now our circuit between the house battery and the inverter is connected. So let's take a look at the power. Okay, it is on and working. So it's 12.5 is the current voltage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the vehicle up because I want to charge it up to at least 12.8 before I try to hook up the cooking system to see if it'll actually work. And if it blows another fuse, then that means in order to use it, I'm going to have to directly connect this under the hood, which I'm not going to do. But we'll go ahead and try this out and see what happens. Alright, I'm going to start the vehicle up to get the battery recharging. So right now, little blue 2.5, a 3, or whatever you want to call her, is currently on. Engine is running. So with the engine running, we should be generating electricity with the alternator, sending it through the vehicle battery. And right now it's not connected. So you can see the house battery is at 12.5. Now when I hit the switch, it'll connect those two batteries. In other words, it should connect the alternator charging. And you can see it came up, now it says 13.4, 13.5. So it's charging up. I'm going to let it run just for a few minutes to let this battery charge up. So we'll leave it connected like this so that the system can charge itself a little bit. But this is how I'll go ahead and leave it wired. The reason I had it hooked up directly, I had this cable here, the one that comes from the vehicle battery right up to this, was so that the system would work even without this house battery. Like I could remove this battery completely and the alternator, the inverter would still work. That was, I did that just so, in case I didn't have a vehicle house battery. But since I do have a vehicle house battery, I'm going to go ahead and let it charge up like this and hook it up this way. And we'll see if we can't get this sandwich maker to actually cook a meal off the system. So I'm going to let this run right now. Let the vehicle run and charge up. You see it says 13.8. I'm going to let it run and try to charge up this battery before we attempt to use a sandwich maker, because it does have a huge draw. I've let the system run for a few minutes. So the battery has charged up somewhat. You can see it says 13.9 on here now. And I did get the ingredients to make our little brunch here. It's going to be a little pseudo calzone lunch. I have frozen bread. I am over at the house right now for the weekend. And I am going to use sharp cheddar cheese and a packet of Dollar Tree pepperoni. And the cheapy Walmart pizza sauce. So we'll go ahead and prepare the bread right now in here and put the sauce and everything on it. The first thing I want to do, of course, is to just simply lay the first layer of bread. Then what we're going to do next is we're going to take the pizza sauce and just put a little bit on that bread right there. I've put down the pizza sauce. Now, just so you're aware, you really don't need this pizza sauce unless you like the pizza sauce to make it taste more like a pizza. I've made it before without using any sauce, just the cheese and stuff, and it tasted fine. But I wanted to put the sauce in because I think it looks better. At least for the video. And it tastes good. So we're going to go ahead and put down now. I'm going to put down the cheddar cheese here. So I'm just going to spread the cheese. It is the grated cheese, shredded. So we'll go ahead and put that down, and then we'll put down our pepperoni. I have put down a lot of cheese. Isn't that a lot of cheese? But you'll see how it kind of spills everywhere. The little pieces fall, and that's why it kind of makes a mess. That's the reason when I had the choice of buying the, guess what's mozzarella cheese as slices, I went ahead and got it as slices. It was to help reduce making a mess here. But since at the house I'm out of the mozzarella, I grabbed the shredded cheddar that we had, and that's what I'm going to use. Now that I've got the cheese in place, it's time to add the pepperoni. Now, instead of pepperoni, you could put other stuff here. You could have ham, ham slices, beef, roast beef. You could also have, move this thing out of the way here. You can also have basically anything that you like on a sandwich. You're making a hot sandwich is what you're making. But for me, I'm kind of making it like a pizza. So I'm putting all this pepperoni down on it. And I found that Dollar Tree has these pepperoni packs for only $1. And you get 2 of these bags. So each bag will make 2 sandwiches. So you can make 4 sandwiches. So a $1 bag can make 4 sandwiches or more. So maybe even 5 sandwiches. It depends on how much pepperoni you use. But you can see there's 5 on that one. I'm going to put 5 on this one, and I'll still have leftovers that I can munch on. So let me go ahead and put the pepperoni down here. It's a pretty simple meal. Only takes a few minutes. So we have our 5 pepperoni and we have 4 left over. So I guess you could make, technically you could make 5 or 6 sandwiches out of it. It's not bad for a $1 pack of pepperoni. Now that we have the pepperoni down, I'm not going to add extra this time. I'm just going to go ahead and put the other layer, the other pieces of bread on it. So we're just going to put this bread right here to cover that up. And this other bread right here, cover this one up. And then just try to make sure everything's all used up here. Not going to melt on the side. Have a little crack in the center for that center piece to cut, to come down, not squish everything. Then it's a matter of shutting the lid. Try to do this one-handed here. All right, I got it sealed. Now, moment of truth, folks. Our inverter is on. And the system is running. The engine for the vehicle is running. The batteries are connected. So we're generating 13.8 volts coming in from off this battery right now. We're going to plug this guy in. As soon as we do, it's going to start the cooker. I'm going to see if it blows. It already dropped low, so it's beeping. So this battery is struggling. I probably need a second battery bank. It says it's only at 10.5. It's really pulling a lot of power. But it up, and it blew. So it blew again, which means because it's pulling so much power, it's going flat. That also means that this, I'm sure this fuse is blown. Let me go ahead and open it up and take a look just to show you it's probably blown. It was trying to draw too much power out and it couldn't charge up fast enough. I've opened up the thing and you can see the fuse did indeed blow. See how it's melted again? So the connection order didn't really matter so much, but the fact that it's drawing too much power did. To use this the sandwich maker, I would have to hook the inverter directly up under the hood to the system, or remove the fuse that's limiting the current flow. I don't want to remove the fuse for safety reasons, Right now it's at 30 amps. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think if I put a stronger amp fuse in there, it would work. But I'm not sure I want to have, you know, more amps. Alright, I looked in my bag of fuse connectors. And I think I'm out of the 30 amp fuses. So I'm going to try the 40 amp fuse. I don't know if you can see, it's not focusing here. The 40 amp fuse. We're going to try to put in the 40 amp fuse. And just for giggles, I am going to try it again with 40 amps and see if that's enough to tolerate the flow. Or maybe I should just go ahead and put in a 60 amp. Alright, I've installed the 40 amp fuse into the system here. And we're going to reconnect it again. I turned it off there. Now, it is unplugged, so I'm going to turn it on and make sure everything's working here. So it's 13.5, 13.6. So we're putting power back into the battery pack right now. Let's see what the battery pack, we're talking about the house battery it currently has when I disable the connection. I just turned this off right here. So we're looking at this right now. It says it's charged. 13.1. So it is charged up. Let's try it again then. So we're going to turn the system back on. Connect the two. We can tell it's connected because the voltage is going up. Battery should be charged. It was pulling power from the vehicle battery to try to keep the system charged, and it was pulling it too fast. So let's try it again. We'll try with the 40 amp fuse and see how it does. And plug this guy in. Cross your fingers. And you see the system is straining. It's beeping. And it's down to 10.6, 10.5, but seems to be holding. And you can see the units lit up and cooking. Some of you might be wondering why I'm letting it cook. I'm kind of testing the limits of the system with the fuse in place. And it does appear to be working with the 40 amp fuse. But it is struggling to pull enough power to keep the system from... What you're hearing the beep for is the unit here. I think it's this. Is it this or this? I can't tell where the beeping's coming from. Yeah, the beeping's coming from the inverter. It's saying that the battery's low. So it's pulling battery power from this battery and also from that battery. And right now the system's low because it's running it to create 750 watts. I think to fix the system, I will need a second battery bank. So I would need another battery hooked up with this one. And I think that may be enough to handle an inverter of this size. 750 watts, running at 750 watts. Meanwhile, it does cook and it is working. I am going to go ahead and let it cook to show you that it does work. But we are maxing out the system. So what that means for me personally is that to use the sandwich maker, I will more than likely use it when I have access to 120 volt outlet, like at the park, like we were in Orlando where we went to Airport Park Lakes and we just plugged into the park's 120 volt outlet. Now I can use the system, you know, if I really wanted a hot sandwich. I could make it with the sandwich maker using the current system. Now that I have a larger fuse, 40 amp fuse versus a 30 amp fuse, inside the unit. So system is working. Nothing seems to be catching on fire or melting. So what I'll do is let the sandwich cook up, seal everything back up, and leave the 40 amp in there. I was trying to put the smallest amperage, I guess, rating for the fuse in there that I thought I would need, which was about 35 amps. But it looks like we may have to go up to 40 amps. So that'll allow 40 amps to flow through here. And system will still work, just beeps. It's cooking. So we'll let it cook for a few minutes, and then once the light comes on, we'll know that the food should be done. And we can unplug. And after I unplug it, I'll let the system run a little bit longer to charge up the battery pack, the house battery pack. You might notice the lights are all, well, actually the ABS light is still on, and all the sensor lights, but the check engine light is off because I reset the computer. So it's cooked now. Notice the voltage went back up. When it warms up, I guess the system doesn't need power anymore. So I'm going to unplug it now instead of drawing power. I can shut this off, actually. Now that I shut it off, you see the sandwich maker is shut off. Okay, I didn't have to unplug it. I could just shut it off. But it is cooked. The light came on green, and the food is done. Doesn't that look good, guys? So there's our El Cheapo calzone that we have made inside the inverter cooking system, and we did manage to diagnose the problem and fix it. It had to do with a fuse issue, not being able to run enough electricity and a current flow through there to keep the battery maintaining the inverter. So I think a second battery would fix the situation. Now, because I'm not full timing, I'm probably going to stick with one battery. If I was traveling around the country full time, I might go ahead and get a second battery bank just to have 200 watt hours or 200 amp hours of power instead of 100. And it should allow the sandwich maker to be used without doing this, without straining. But it is possible, and something to consider. And I now know if I want a hot sandwich, I can make it in an emergency, but most of the time I'll probably want to go ahead and hook it up to shore power, 120 volts. Until next time, everybody, I hope you're having a good day. I guess you guys like the see me do the taste test on this, right? So I'm going to have to give this a test. All right. Doesn't that sandwich just look good? It's hot. You see me not just grabbing for it. It is indeed hot. Hot off the grill. Off the sandwich maker. Ow. That was hot. Yeah, I guess if it's hot enough to cook the sandwich, it's hot enough to burn me. Trying to get this guy out. There's my sandwiches. My calzone. El Cheapo, El Quico calzone. Let's have a little taste test and see if it meets our approval. Let's break it up here. Cheese isn't as sticky as the mozzarella, so it's not stretchy. But let's try our cheddar pepperoni calzone. Hot, hot, hot. And folks, it is good. Until next time, everybody, bon appetit, good eating, have a great day, and stay safe. And thinking of each and every one of you. Take care now.